Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad to hear this Monday morning, getting a week started off right with Panhandle Outdoors. Glad to bring it to you. All kind of good things going to show today. But first, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin Road and Highway 77. And you saw last week when I had Mike Heppenstall and Todd Boyd on all the various programs they run. And don't forget, check out those fish cleaning tables. They're going to be selling those, and I have one, and I can vouch for it. They're really top quality. And you can look in these magazines and try to buy those tables, and they're expensive. But you can get them over here, and that money's going to go to a good cause. It's going to the programs there. So that's the way we like to do things. But, you know, talking about supporting local people and all, you buy them out of a magazine, that money's going to Miami or New York, and you buy them here, that money's staying right here in the Panhandle. So just some food for thought. But those fish cleaning tables are really nice. They'll last you a lifetime if you don't tear them up or something. All right, now, high today, 71. That's right, 71 degrees. It's going to be a pretty day. 58 is low. And water temperature, we double checked, is 61, but it's going to start going up, I think, this week. But it's going to, the whole week, looking at the week, it's going to be mild weather this week. We do have some rain coming about the middle of the week, but, you know, that could be off a day or two. But it looks like a good week, and this is really going to be the first decent week we've had in quite a while. You know, we've had some miserable weather last week with that rain and cold and wind, but I think it's not going to be quite as cold this week. All right, now, the tide, take a look at the tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. It looks like right now we have the tide will be a low tide at 3:53 this morning and a high tide at 5:38 this afternoon. Looking at the whole week now, the whole week of March, this not any really strong tides. The last week of March, if you're looking on the chart, the last week of March had some really strong tides. But this week could be some, you know, and next week just be some medium tides, not a lot of strong tidal flows. And like I say, March the 20th, and you see what day that's on. That's on a Thursday, about 2 weeks. That's going to be the spring equinox, and right after that will be some really strong tides. All right? So let's go ahead and take our break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I want to mention this Thursday night now down in Gulf County, the St. Joe Lions Club putting on their 7th annual Sportsman Banquet. It'll be, I think the time's going to be at 6:30 this Thursday. That's Eastern time now. So remember, the time has changed as of yesterday. So make sure you go there. It's really a neat thing. I've been to several of them. Really enjoy them. They have big steak supper, and they have all kind of raffles and prizes you can win. It's a great fundraiser. I think last year they raised around $20,000. For a community like St. Joe to raise that much money in one little event is very admirable. And I want to encourage y'all to talk to anybody at St. Joe Lions Club. It's called a Panhandle Sportsman Banquet. And I hope to be there. We'll just wait and see, but I hope to get there. I hope to maybe win one of those guns or something. And I see a lot of folks down there. Every time I go, I see a lot of viewers. I really enjoy the fellowship down there. That it's going to be right there at the Centennial Hall in St. Joe. It's a good location there, and really a good place to have a function like that. Okay, so don't forget the Panhandle Sportsman Banquet. All right, now, one thing we talked about too, we're staying, you know, the Tyndall, we call it now, is the Tyndall situation as far as, you know, them closing the bases for the fishing and all that. And it's something that we as citizens just need to stay on top of. We need to keep informed. I know there's been some, a lot of information passed back and forth on it. They've had some hearings and all, and we're all in favor of course, our country being strong and safe, but also in favor of our rights to fish in an area if it does not have we don't have a problem. One of the areas I want to show you, I'm going to talk about this area. I don't talk about it a lot on the show, and I sort of did it, but when I first started doing the show, I guess I admit I did it for a selfish reason because I didn't want a lot of people to know about it. But it's called Crooked Island Sound, but I talk about it every now and then. But Crooked Island Sound is just a really neat place at Tyndall. And I'm going to go ahead and show you, if you don't know where it is. I fished it back in the, folks, I fished it back in the 70s when that was a dirt road down here. I guess you've heard me say that before. But Crooked Island Sound is a unique place, okay? And it's this area right, I'll keep it in the center of the screen. Okay? And you go to it, I'm on now. Let's go look on the right side of your screen. And there's a landing right here. That's the old Davis Beach landing. I'm going to zoom on in to Davis. That's a dirt landing. And it's really, you put your boat in right there, right in the center of the screen. See that coming from north to south is a landing. and you go through the little strait here, and you come on out, just take your boat out here. You can fish along the edges here. Great fishing, isolated, no buildings or anything. Well, there's a building right there, but it's a timber building, but no houses, no runoff. Just a great place to fish in here. I've got some huge scallops back there when it's legal. And then up here to the right, Wild Goose Lagoon. The reason it's not I used to think it was a local place, but the last time I went, there were 5 trucks. 3 of them were from Georgia, and 2 of them from over there in Escambia County, and there was nobody local fishing it. So this up here, all through this area here, and then it opens up into the Gulf. And I'm gonna go wider now. Okay, I want to tell you right in the center of the screen again. The tarpon guides love fishing that area there. They're gonna get mad at me for saying that, but now it's a great place if you just want to go catch tarpon, and now a lot of sharks in that area too. But I've caught Mr. Howard Barnes. He's passed away now. Caught some of the nicest, biggest flounder I've ever seen caught right up in here. We floundered in here for years and all, but it's not a local spot anymore. It's in fact, the locals are a minority when you fish this area. But so that's Crooked Island Sound, and the reason I want to show that to you because that's probably be a spot we would lose. Now I would hate losing that, although I don't go much anymore because the crowds is so crowded on weekends. In the summertime I go on a weekday, but we would lose that because if it could be a security problem. But I don't really see where that could be a security problem because nothing really strong. They just have a little house there with doing a couple of experiments and all. They don't do a lot of stuff there like they do. I could see them wanting to close off the housing area if there's a threat and all that. But that area right there is a drone launch. They close that area. Crooked Island Sound is closed a lot of times. The drone launch goes right over there. So I've been run out. Probably if you've been down there, you've been run out too. They'll come on with a loud big boat and everything with a big megaphone and running you off, and that's no problem. We just move on to another spot, but they'll close it off at a certain time. So be aware of that. So stay on top of this tender situation. If you hear of anything, call me, let me know, and I'll try to pass it on to the viewers and all. And we don't really know what's going to happen. We all in agreement. If there's a national security question, we certainly all in favor of it. But if there's not, we certainly want to keep our rights to go fish there and use that area. Okay? Let's take this break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Now, coming up soon, I'm going to do a top surf fishing spots in the area. I'm going to get on Google Earth like we just did and show you some really good surf fishing spots throughout our Panhandle viewing area. So stay tuned for that. I was just talking to Jeff during this commercial break. He had the same experience. He lived here a while. He brought his mother down to look at to visit around. He took her to a spot. Took him down there to that area, and he said he thought it'd be isolated, people all over the place. So he was telling Mom wouldn't be anybody there, and all these people there from all over the place. So that's what I'm telling you. So that place can be crowded, so be aware of it. And it's a good place to go, but it's not a local hangout anymore. All right, now, well, one of the things we take pride in on Panhandle Outdoors, and because of folks like you, real people doing real things. And I've got a little video coming up, and you're going to enjoy this because this is one of us, and an outdoorsman, and he goes fishing. And remember a couple weeks ago how cold it was. Remember a really cold snap. Well, this is Ken Taylor. He's going to introduce himself on the video, and I don't want to tell exactly what's going to happen, but basically this is a testimonial on some cool thinking and clear-headed in a situation that could have been very, very dangerous. And when he told me about it at first, I said, I've got to get this on video because first of all, I want to show it to my students and let them understand when something bad happens, how when you have a bad accident or something, you can sort of think clearly and get out of it. And then also I want to show it to my viewers because we talk about boating safety and doing the right thing and in the right time. And this is a real situation. This is not, you're talking about a TV show called Survivors, and you know how that's sort of prepped up and set up and scripted out. This is not scripted. This is something really happened to one of our viewers, and we're going to go and share it with you. This is Ken Taylor, and what he did, I'll tell you ahead of time. He fell out of a boat when it was like 32 degrees a couple weeks ago, and it was really cold weather. So let's see what he does. So let's go ahead and roll this video, Jeff. Folks, I'm here at the Fusion Fitness Center. I run into a good friend of mine, Ken Taylor, on a regular basis. He was telling me the other day about an incident, and I just want him to share it with you. But first, Ken, welcome to the show, and tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Well, probably after 70 years, there ought to be a lot more to tell than there is, but I'm a retired United Methodist preacher, was a barber for 15 years before that. Served a little church in Calhoun County as a retired supply, and worked with Lynn Haven United Methodist Church as the counseling pastor. I do marriage and family counseling at the church, and belong to a couple of bass clubs. And
you love to fish,
right?
right?
A lot of fishing.
You love to
fish.
fish.
Any kind of fishing. Scuba dive fishing. You know, I really like the outdoors. And, have been fishing all my life. I remember going fishing with my dad the first time, just the two of us, when I was 9 years old, and have fished ever since.
That's great, and you're in a great area to fish, of course. But what I really want to talk about, you had an incident the other day, and you were telling about it, and I just was amazed by it. I just want to get this on video. I want to show it to my class and, of course, my viewing audience, because what you did, you just had a remarkable, good situation and just good, clear thinking. So tell us about what happened back in this really cold weather we had recently.
Well, it didn't feel quite as remarkable to me as you're making it sound. When
well, if you look back on it, it is, because
yeah.
it was, first of all, during a really cold snap we had. And
it was 39 degrees that morning.
Okay.
I mean, it was 39 degrees then. It was 32 at daylight.
Okay.
And it had warmed up 7 degrees by about 9 o'clock. And I was, we'd put the boat in at Howard Creek. And I was down the river about 20 miles, all the way to the bay in East River in Little Creek, bass fishing. It was raining, so I had 3 layers of clothes on and a rain suit and a life jacket on top of that.
Now it's 30-something degrees, and you're out there fishing in the rain.
Oh yeah,
that tells you how much you love fishing.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it was. Well, you know, that's if you're a fair weather fisherman, stay home. But anyhow, I'd hooked the biggest bass that I've ever seen in that part of the river, and fought him up the side of the boat and stooped down to get a dip net, and I guess I put slack in the line and lost the fish, and was kind of disgusted. And my little boat doesn't have much room to stand on the casting deck. I made the casting deck. When I started to get back up on it, I didn't remember to be careful enough, and I hit the seat, the butt seat, with my butt as I went up, and went right over the side in the water.
Oh no! So you fell into the water.
I did. Head first. There's this nanosecond when everything stops and stands still, and you think, I'm going in the water. And I went right over in the water with all those clothes on, and it was cold. And I was 20 miles from my truck where I had dry clothes. Actually, I wouldn't have had dry clothes in there then, but I'd been to the gym the day before, and I left my workout clothes in the truck, and I knew there were some dry clothes in the bottom of my workout bag. And I squeezed all my clothes out. You take them and wring them like you did you used to when you was washing clothes by hand, as much as I could.
But first now, okay, so you're in the water. So what's it now? You're in the water. So what's So how do you get back in?
Well, my boat has a ladder on the back of it, and I just the first thing you don't do in a case like that is panic.
Right.
I mean, there's no reason to panic.
Right.
I mean, but you don't panic. You keep your head about you. And I pulled the boat back around to where I could get to the back of the ladder. And when I finally got 1 foot out of the mud, I was standing in mud. I was about this deep.
Oh, my goodness.
And got 1 foot out of the mud and got it in the ladder, and then leveraged the other foot out of the mud, climbed in the boat that way. But that's, the good thing is that had I been in water that was deeper in current where the boat would have drifted away from me, my trolling motor has a control on it that I wear around my neck, and I can call the boat back to me.
Oh, wonderful.
Wherever I am. From up to 1,000 feet away, I can call the boat back to me.
Well, that's great.
And I was glad I had that around my neck too, but I didn't need it because there was no current there.
All right, so you get over the first hurdle, first obstacle.
First hurdle is get back in the boat.
Get back in the boat. So you're back in the boat, but now you've got to be freezing.
Oh Lord, it's cold. I mean, right now it really hasn't sunk in that I'm 20 miles away from dry clothes and it's cold.
And you're down there, and nobody down there.
Nobody.
Yeah,
Nobody.
It's an isolated area anyway. Then on top of that kind of day you had, no one's going to come by.
I did see another boat, another fisherman up the river a piece, probably 6-8 miles up the river.
Wow.
And but I was by myself, and I got my clothes dried out and put them back on, and the sun had come out, so I stayed around about an hour, let the sun warm me up as much as I could because I didn't want to hypothermia. And while I was warming up, I was plotting places up the river that I could stop and get in the sun, out of the wind, and warm up if I needed to. And finally, I realized I've got to make that run.
Yeah.
And I put my rain suit back on over the clothes to block the wind, and went up the river. It was 20 miles.
So along the way, now you're at the bottom of the river. So
yeah.
What are some of those creeks were you around?
Well, I don't even know the names of the creeks.
Okay,
I have little names for them, but I don't know the names for them.
So you started head up there.
And by the way, Coach, no bass fisherman is going to tell you the names of the creeks where he was.
No, especially where that big one was. That's true. All right, so you get part of the way.
But I was in East River.
Yeah.
And I had to go all the way through East River Cut, into St. Mark River, into the Apalachicola River, into the Brothers River, and back to Howard Creek.
Oh my goodness! So did you stop along the way?
I stopped and talked to Red Holland one time. He was in a place that was out of the wind, and I stopped and talked to him just for a moment and warmed up a little bit.
Okay.
And then I didn't talk long because I needed to get dry clothes on. And he was at the intersection of the Brothers River and the Apalachicola River. And I stopped and talked to him just a little bit, and then headed on in.
Yeah.
And when I got to the boat ramp, I couldn't put those two fingers together. I had that much hypothermia already.
You're already getting hypothermia, yeah.
And I ran to the truck and turned the truck on, got the heater going, and grabbed my dry clothes and went to the dressing room and dressed, and came back and sat in the heat for a little while till it warmed up, and then went back fishing.
Wow. This to me it's a remarkable story that you were able to get back in the boat and then that far away. It's because so many people don't think that clearly.
The one thing that I've tried to tell the people in the Bass Club, because the club that I'm in is called the Mossy Backs. It's you've got to be 60 or more to be in it. And I tell them, whatever you do, wear your life jacket. Because I'm a scuba diver and I don't want to go have to hunt them.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. I'm a rescue diver and I don't want to have to go hunt them. I'd just rather not strap on my tanks and go hunt somebody that's fallen out and drown. So wear those life jackets.
All right. And think clearly.
Oh yeah.
Don't
panic.
Well, that's a good story, and that's a good ending to what could have been a bad story.
Well, I think it was a good ending. Because, you didn't hear me say I went back fishing, did you?
You did go back fishing.
After I warmed up, I went back fishing.
Good for you. Good for you. All right, Ken Taylor, thank you so much.
You bet.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll talk about it in just a second. But first, let's do our fishing game forecast brought to us by Mark Coward, Edgewater Beach Realty. I just hold it up right here. Our times now, we're looking at 8:30 to 10:30 this morning. Excellent time. And then tonight from 8:43 to 10:43. Brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty. Now, talking about surviving, I know that wasn't a great deal right there, but you got to picture yourself. It's 32 degrees when you start fishing. It's rainy. It's not sunny. It's rainy when you start off with. And falling in the water, and there's so many things you can do, but he didn't panic. Ken just did a great job. He was experienced, and the thing that helped him also, he knew how to get back into his boat, and he knew exactly what to do. In addition, Ken's in pretty good shape for a 70-year-old guy. Now, I'll be honest with you, he works out. I've seen him work out, and that's another testimony on just sort of staying in decent shape. You don't have to run a marathon and all that, but just stay in decent shape. One of the big things I always tell my kids, even as they get older, always be able to handle your own weight. Try to be able to pull your weight up, a little bit of help and all. That's getting out of a wrecked car that's about to catch on fire. And being able to handle your own weight, being able to pull yourself in a situation. He was able to pull himself in that boat, even soaking wet in 3 layers of clothes. So great story. I'm going to show it to my class today, so I hope you enjoyed it. And you see Ken Taylor, and Ken's a good bass fisherman, and we've got to start we talk about bass fishing almost on a weekly basis. And he was telling me really having good luck, and he was fishing this past weekend in Lake Seminole. Haven't gotten a report from him, but they've been catching some nice fish. Now I want to show you. We're going to go back to Google Earth. I want to show you about where Ken was, and he was down here in the flats area. Bill Allen and I do a lot of video from this area. He said he could actually see Apalachicola Bay. So he was right. I put stuff in the center of the screen. So he was in this area right in here. People say, why didn't you go to another landing or something? Well, you really, hypothermia is going to set in. You don't start thinking clearly. That's one of the first things. The blood starts leaving your brain, and your reasoning skills aren't really there after a period of time. and he was smart enough to realize if he got lost in one of those creeks, which could easily happen with it cloudy and the sun coming in and out, so he stayed where he knew he was safe. He stayed in the same creek he knew and headed back up. Then of course went way on back up to Howard to the landing up there. While I'm right here in this area, let's pull over to Lake Wimico. A lot of people, we talk a lot about Lake Wimico, don't show it a lot. This is Wimico right here. The Intercoastal Waterway goes right through it from our left to right. But people ask, you can't drive there. You know, you can get to some boat landings, and the reports from Lake Wimico have been excellent. That's on the left right there, coming from left bottom of your screen, Depot Creek. Sledge and some of his buddies have caught some really nice shell-cracking brim right before it got cold last week. That's Depot Creek feeds into it. All these little feeder creeks are going to be really good this week in fishing. But here's how you get to it. This is the Intercoastal Waterway, and this is White City right here. Okay, let's pull it. And there's a boat landing right in here. It's a short run in there. Okay, right there is White City. Okay, and the boat landing is right in there. And so it's a short run, a safe run too. Now a lot of these bass boats go fast in here, but you don't have to do that. But okay, I want to pull up to Lake Seminole. It's interesting what's going on in Lake Seminole now, but it's really some good fishing and all. And we have some tournaments up there. Here it is right here. Well, keep in mind the cold. We talked about this last week. The really cold water. I'm just looking at the clock. I'm not going to have time to get into it. I'm going to run out of time. But we're going to talk about, the different rivers feeding into Lake Seminole, and where some of it is really cold, and some of it not quite as cold, because the Chattahoochee River is going to bring a lot of cold weather, where the Flint River and the Spring Creek and all won't bring that much of the cold water into it. But I'm going to run out of time. We'll talk about that on the next show, or one day this week, about how. We talked about how it's going to be affecting fishing. But meanwhile, I'm running out of time. Thank y'all so much for watching Panhandle Outdoors. You have a great day today. Be sure and do something good for someone, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.